program to some extent has reached many of the villages, and it is bringing about change in these villages. Now, as it has been compared, the villages do not have proper roads, while most of the urban areas are flourishing with roads and flyovers, etc. Employment opportunities in the villages are lacking, and due to which there is an exodus of population from the rural areas to urban areas. And the COVID has clearly shown us how much of migration has taken from the rural to urban area, when we saw the reverse exodus, when people from the urban areas, because they did not have the employment opportunities, they went back to the villages. Then the medical facilities are. Now, what can we take it as the indicators of rural development? Now, when I say that some village is developed or state has more rural development compared to others, these are the parameters we can consider. If anyone wants to do any work to find out how far the development activities have played an important role in the overall development of the villages, we can take this should be kept in mind for future rural development in India. That is man and his environment, meaning that use the local resources. You know, an umbrella of programs cannot work. Each village, each area has specific resources or specific geographical environment. So depending upon the local resources, activities should be developed over there. Now, ecological setting means that rural is in contrast to urban. Now, if you want to develop urban areas, the rural areas should also be developed. Otherwise, there will be this exodus or the difference between the rural and urban area. Then, appropriate technology is needed to develop the rural areas. Rural development should also focus on distributive justice, because the rural areas, during the British period, we had the zamindari system. So the rural areas also has very rich people. It's not that poverty is there in all rural areas. There is also disparity in the rural areas. So there must be some distributive justice. Then the fifth and the most important, which we are at present emphasizing, that is self-reliance. And last very important thing is institutional infrastructure, which is resources, particularly for the management of men, money, and material resources. This is not excellent. So now I go on to the rural development in the 5-year plans. Okay, city development program, which gave emphasis to development of agriculture, irrigation, power, transport, communication, education, health, and employment. So the paradigm or the focus over here was all round. However, in the second 5-year plan, we were facing the food crisis. And at that time, it was seen that money for all round development was not possible. So what they did, they started as a bottom-up approach to where rural development activities could be initiated. In the third 5-year plan, the emphasis was on reduction of poverty. Now, one of the major ways of reduction of poverty is by providing employment opportunities. So the focus of this, or the approach or paradigm for rural development, the approach for rural development was self-employment. So a number of programs were taken up, like the development program, along with the nutritional programs for the survival of the very this period. Now, in the plans was given to growth with stability. Now, over here, what they did, the emphasis was on specific area and groups of people. That is, all areas of India are not program. And another important component which was added over here was TRISEM, that is training of self-employment. So again, the C has been continuing since the third 5-year plan. Now, in the sixth 5-year plan, they realized that all-round development of the villages was required. So the program was initiated. However, this time the focus was on removal of poverty. So all the programs were focused on population below poverty line. Now, over here, they gave emphasis to all-round development, in the sense all-round development in the villages. Now, this program to some extent was successful. It was basically, providing loan to the rural population for occupation in the secondary sector. And in most cases, what happened, the people had to meet targets, okay, the governmental agencies. So in many cases, the spite of the fact, for example, in part, but since they had to face the target, they had to fulfill the target of giving some loan under the agricultural sector. Loans were given for irrigation facilities, which was not required over there. So it had some loopholes, but still integrated rural development did play a very important role in improving the economic conditions of the rural poor. Along with it, we had the 20-point program for the all-round development. Now, the 20-point program has a lot of components. The students want, I can send it to them later. Now, the seventh plan period gave focus again to the target specific, where emphasis again was on the rural employment, and particular emphasis was given to the Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Scheme, which later came to be known as MAREGA. Now, in the eighth plan period, during that plan period, the whole of the country was going towards economic reforms and restructuring. So, at this time, the programs for rural development mainly gave, you will see that there was the Indira Awas Yojana and the Million Well